Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, I'll start the recording.
We'll start.
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa Group's Introduction to Bhagavad-Gita series. So, we have been learning the basic concepts from Bhagavad-Gita and also uh, interrelating many purports and trying to get an understanding of what the concept is. Now we are doing the series of chapter 13, verses 8 to 12. So we would be studying about simplicity and surrender to the spiritual master today. Let's offer prayers for the blessings of Lord and the Vaishnavas. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम् Okay, so let's go to the verse. So we have been reading the series of 4 verses from chapter 13, text 8 to 12. We can we take turns to recite these verses? Maybe I can start the first one. Amanitvam adambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyam atmavinigraha.
Okay. इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अहङ्कार एव च जन्ममृत्युजराव्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्.
Thank you, Mataji.
अशक्तिरनभिष्वनगा पुत्रधाराग्रहदिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु. हरे
Thank
कृष्ण.
you. Thank you, Vasu Mataji.
मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्याभिचारिणि विविक्ता देशसेवित्वम् अरक्तिर्ज्ञानसंसदि. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Lakshmi Mataji. Okay, maybe I'll do the last. Adhyatma jnana nityatvam tattva jnanartha darshanam etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yadatonyata. Anyone wants to read the translation?
Can I read?
Yeah, slowly.
Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, non-attachment to children, wife, home, and the rest, and even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, restoring to solitary places, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I thus declare to be knowledge, and what is contrary to these is ignorance.
Thank you, Prahlad. Okay, so we saw about humility and pridelessness, uh, the basis of all the knowledge that's coming after is humility. So without humility, we can't proceed further. So there's a reason why Srila Prabhupada, Sri Krishna put that as the first item of knowledge, because all these thus declare to be knowledge, he says. And then we saw how through the purports that Srila Prabhupada is defining humility as not having the satisfaction of being honored by others. Because if we have the satisfaction of being honored by others, then our whole life is driven by that appreciation. So same way, pridelessness is um, starting from humility. Or we should say that pridelessness is the starting and humility is in depth. So what is that? That not be hankering after this material deception. So when we think that we are something else other than the servant of the Lord, then there is pride. So Krishna says humility, pridelessness, again non-violence. We saw how non-violence means not um, um, hurting anyone physically and mentally. That's a general non-violence. But Prabhupada says that being quiet to let them suffer, that is also non-violence. So he said that how we see people are suffering because of the lack of spiritual knowledge. So a devotee should try his best to give out the spiritual knowledge so that their suffering can be mitigated. And then we saw about tolerance last week. So what is tolerance? That even when provoked, the greatness of a person is estimated by how much he can be tolerant even in provoking situations. So, what is the basis of tolerance? Is that this world is meant is duality, is a world of duality. Today, there will be praise. Tomorrow there will be blame. Day after tomorrow there will be praise, and the day after will be blame, and so it's going on like that. So tolerance says that means that one should be practiced to bear insult and dishonor from others. So especially when we are trying to uh, advance in spiritual life, there may be so many impediments, so many people may make fun of us directly, indirectly. So all those things shouldn't be mattering to us. And the example that Srila Prabhupada gave is that of Prahlad Maharaj and Haridas Thakur. So today we'll see something about simplicity and approaching a bona fide spiritual master, the next two items. So anyone wants to read this? The first bullet point.
Yeah, I can read, Mataji.
Yeah, it's Mataji.
Simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. As for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential. Because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science.
Thank, thank you, Mataji. So first we'll see what is simplicity. Although he has given in only one line, it has a lot of depth in it. And then the rest of the paragraph is about the next item, acceptance of the spiritual master. We'll come back to this slide when we are doing when we are studying about that. So simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. Wow, that is the standard of simplicity. So we know what is diplomacy. Uh, Diplomatic behavior is that you have something inside, but you behave as though that's not. You behave outside in a way that is covered. Nobody can make out what you have. What are you thinking inside? That is having an agenda inside and doing something else outside. So we see diplomatic ties, diplomatic relationship, the world leaders, the politics, say they come and they talk. So your country does this to me, that because of that my country will do that to you. So basically, yeah, this in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a lot is spoken about this weed. This is called Kuti Nati, or you know, uh, means not straightforward and trying to get the agenda done, whatever his agenda done, and doing activities in such a way that it appears to others that, oh, how nice devotee this person is, but inside doing all those activities with something else in purpose. So that is opposite to straightforwardness. So he's saying that one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy. That's the highest level. First of all, a devotee doesn't consider anybody as his enemy, but even when he senses that, he was so straightforward. Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's guru, was known for this straightforwardness. They were not mincing words. They were, I mean, if you see Prabhupada's books, even these purports, somebody reads those purports and they would wonder why Swamiji is pouring, or this person is pouring so much hatred against other commentators. We were discussing that in the afternoon. So it's not that, but the fact has to be told as a matter of fact, and being brave to do that. Many instances, Srila Prabhupada did not compromise. When it comes to even his disciples, he was very straightforward. He told them their flaws, but he was so kind to them in such a way that they were able to accept it because he was a well wisher of them. He did not do it in any anger or frustration or dissatisfaction of them. but because he was a well-wisher of them, he was doing that. And Srila Prabhupada's guru here, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, for that matter, he was called Simha Guru, Lion Guru. So when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comes in the road, people will run away from the other side who are cheaters. So he was so straightforward to tell the truth, whether it's palatable or not, but disclose the real truth. Um, so that benefits a person, but that has to be done in a nice way. Not that many people, they say what they want, whatever comes to the mind, and then they say that, oh, I'm a very straightforward person, so I say what it comes to the mind. That's not called straightforwardness, that's called lack of self control. So um, basically we'll come down to that, what it means uh, to be simple, and then what is opposite to be simple. So we find simplicity once more mentioned in this verse. uh, Deva Dvija Guru Prajna. I'm sorry, it's not 8.5. I think I gave the wrong number. It's 17.14, chapter 17, text 14. Okay, so anyone wants to read this shloka?
Deva Dvija Gura Prajna Pujanam Socham Arjavam Brahmacharyam Ahimsa Cha Sarim Tupa Uchatyate.
Okay. Uchyate. Shariram tapa uchyate. Okay, good job.
Uchyate.
Good job, Prahlad. So translation. So this verse is about the austerity of the body. So there are the cluster of verses: austerity of the body, austerity of the mind, and austerity of the words. It comes in 17.14, 15, and 16. So the translation is: austerity of the body consists in worship of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmanas, the spiritual master, and superiors like the father and mother, and in cleanliness, that is Deva, Dvija, Guru, Prajna. Deva is demigods, Dvija is Brahmanas, Guru is the spiritual master, Prajna is learned people or superiors. Pujanam, so worshipping of them. Shaucham is cleanliness, Arjavam, again you see it's simplicity. Sometimes in another words it is translated as honesty. Brahmacharyam, celibacy, ahimsacha, and non-violence. Shariram tapa uchyate. These are said to be austerity of the body. Okay, the Supreme Godhead here explains the different kinds of austerity and penance. First, he explains the austerities and penances practiced by the body. One should offer or learn to offer respect to God or to the demigods, the perfect qualified brahmanas, and the spiritual master and superiors like father, mother, or any person who is conversant with Vedic knowledge. They are called prajna. These should be given proper respect. One should practice cleansing oneself externally and internally, and he should learn to become simple in behavior. You see, that is simplicity. Um, okay, so he should not do anything which is not sanctioned by the scriptural injunctions. He should not indulge in sex outside of married life, for sex is sanctioned in the scripture only in marriage, not otherwise. This is called celibacy. These are penances and austerities as far the body is concerned. So here you see again, simple in behavior is said to be an austerity of the body. So how is it? Because it is not it's an hostility to be simple. So many times when I read this purport or anyone reads this purport, if there are some good things, oh, that's me, I am simple. But then the other devotees or other people around me, they are not simple. Of all the people around me, I am the most simplest person. This is how everybody thinks. But then it's not that straightforward like that. It requires in a little introspection, we will know what we are. Even if we think we are simple, Krishna is asking us to be more simple in behavior. Simple in behavior means not complex in behavior. Same way, it is what to say? It's betraying behavior or misleading behavior or thinking oneself and doing another thing or having an agenda. So what happens is Srila Prabhupada has told that if we don't clear out these anarthas, then it will take a long time. Anartha nivritti will not happen. The heart always remains hard, and in a hard heart, how will bhakti sprout? We saw that from the spiritual master, we receive the seed and it is sowed in the heart, and then by watering and watering process of hearing and chanting, the bhakti creeper would go. But if the heart is not fertile and it is hard, for example, the land in which the seed is sown is parched, is dry, how will it come? So, because the Lord is present in the heart and He's watching us, um, I mean, having these qualities and not working on them and practicing bhakti is mutually exclusive. That's what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that if we don't identify the weeds and remove the weeds, all the water that we pour, the bhakti creeper will remain stunted and the weed creeper will grow so tall. One second, I will be back now. I'm sorry.
Mataji?
My mom glitched out the computer and she ran out of charge, so she's joining.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji. You're able to hear?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, the thing went out. There's some problem in the computer that, just even in 20 minutes, it's completely out of charge. We have to fix that. Okay. So we were discussing about simplicity. Yeah. So he says that this weed of duplicitous behavior will grow so tall and we will think that it is bhakti. So after that, there is no satisfaction of the heart. There is no taste in the devotional practices because we are complex. So let's see even more. Srila Prabhupada says in another place what simplicity means. that is 17.16. It is the austerity of the mind. Anyone wants to read this shloka? Okay, so I can read. Mana Prasad. Sorry, anyone is reading?
Hare Krishna Mataji, can I tell Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti yattat tapo manasam uchyate.
Thank you, Shanti Mataji. So translation starts with and because it's like the continuation of the previous verse that speaks about the austerity of speech and satisfaction, simplicity, gravity, self control, and purification of one's existence are the austerities of the mind. Again, simplicity. Saumyatvam is translated as simplicity. So, to make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification, and so there is no possibility of the mind's becoming satisfied. This Srila Prabhupada wrote at least in 1960. Of course, this purport he must have written much before, but when it got printed, they must have edited it. So there was no computer also. What to speak of internet, no cell phone. But he says this that you see, in the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification. Then now, what to speak with all this? So the best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and the Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means that one is always thinking of self realization. The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward again in his dealings and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity in mental activities. So, here again, he says that what is saumyatvam? See, to make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it can be always thinking of doing good for others. Mind is actually a monster. Okay, and I mean, everybody must have experience of this. Even if you have heard 100 good things about a person, the mind will wait when there will be one bad thing I will hear. And then whenever we see the person, the 100 good things that we heard, we will not remember. But the one bad thing that we have heard, whether it's true or not, also we have not analyzed, that will pop up in the mind. So that's why it's very hard to, unless trained, the mind is by default thinking bad about others. So that's why he's saying that it can be trained of thinking good for others. And what do you mean by trained of thinking good for others? The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. This is simplicity. Otherwise, normally if we are not doing this, then we are not simple. Because the mind, if we observe, the mind and the ego and intelligence are all spies. And that's why Krishna says, Manaha sashtan indriyani prakristani karshati. What about spies? The spies, even an enemy, we know. They know that we know that he's an enemy. But a spy, we don't know. Spy is someone that is there with us, but thinking bad of us. That's why the uncontrolled mind is the worst enemy, and controlled mind is the best friend. So it naturally thinks bad of others and thinks good of ourselves. If we observe that, that's why great people have told that don't associate with the mind. If you see the Acharya's songs, they have more than sung it to others, they have sung it to their own mind. Bhaja hure mana Srinanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Because so mind is by nature like that, and then we should avoid associating with the mind. So what we can do, Kratu Mahaprabhu used to say, that when as soon as you get up in the morning, we spend at least 25-30 minutes in the bathroom. If you observe your thoughts at that time, it will be always either, what happened yesterday, or what I have to do today. It will be anxiety, or how great I am, how nice I am, first thing in the morning. That's what I have observed. So what he says, as soon as you enter, switch on a lecture, switch on something that you can hear. So your mind uh, is deviated only by the sound. The sound of the mind can be hushed by sound vibrations from outside. So when we hear lectures, when we hear um, uh, shlokas, and we meditate on the meaning of that, then mind is calmed down, and by constant association like that, one should think of the welfare of all, even a person. Then people may question that I may be thinking good in about others, but that person is not thinking good about me. So if I think good about him, then I am like a fool. No, it's not like that. Because a fire, if there is a small fire, the small fire cannot be fought out by a big fire. If Then there will be more fire, and then there is no end to it. That's why fire has to be fought by water. So the mind, even doesn't matter how the other people are, whether they're going to exploit me or not, but this is what Krishna wants from me. In order to consider that I am in knowledge, he wants this from me. What is that? We think of the welfare of all. And in fact, great saints, you see, they think less and less and less, or nothing at all, about themselves, but they think about the welfare of all the others. So in that way, a mind that is trained like that, that's why we say that we put ourselves in others' shoes. There is one more shloka where he says that seeing, I'm forgetting that, seeing one um, in the shoes of the distress of others, or seeing the distress of others as the distress on one's own. So that's how, when we train our
Paradukhi.
paradukka dukhi, yeah. And also one more verse is there. It's not coming to the mind now. Yeah. So so putting oneself in the shoes of others, in the distress especially, and helping them out uh, in their distress. And so that way, if we constantly practice to be more selfless, even in thoughts, how can I serve others? How can I help this devotee? How my whole existence, my whole life is meant for serving others. That is the root of Vaishnava philosophy: service to others, service to Vaishnava, service to devotees.
Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu.
Yeah, Atmavat Sarva Bhuteshu, right. A person, what he thinks about himself, that's how he views others also. So this is simplicity, and this has to be practiced, and we can introspect with ourselves. Nobody is going to try to take a camera and take a picture of your mind, how much simple and how much duplicity we are. But the point is, if we are not in touch with the scriptures like this, then we, the false ego again rises up, and we think that we are the best in the world. I am a devotee, I'm chanting for so many years, I'm this, I'm that, which is all nonsense. But if we try to weigh ourselves, or judge ourselves from based on this, whether I am simple or whether I am duplicitous, then slowly, we can really become a devotee that the Lord will be pleased with. Again, these are not the qualities that we need to externally try to acquire to be a good person, but these qualities we try to acquire by the mercy of the Lord, with a goal to please the Lord, because the Lord is telling that this is what pleases Him. Okay, so going back to the original purport of 13.8, the next thing is amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shantir. We finish shantir, shantir, arjavam. Now acharyopasanam, acharya upasanam, that is worship of the spiritual master. So here he says, as for acceptance of the spiritual master, that is essential, because without the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, one cannot progress in the spiritual science. One should approach the spiritual master with all humility and offer him all services, so that he will be pleased to bestow his blessings upon the disciple. Because a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of Krishna. If he bestows any blessings upon his disciple, that will make the disciple immediately advanced, without the disciples following the regulative principles. Or the regulative principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. So it's a very, very important. In fact, Srila Prabhupada in this purport says that the first, when he starts giving commentary on this verse, he starts off telling that this is the most important item uh, of all the descriptions of the process of knowledge. Yeah, okay. Mai Chananya Yogena, we didn't come to that. That is, the process of knowledge terminates in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Hmm. And for this, he says that the principle of accepting a spiritual master, as mentioned in the 8th verse, is essential. Even for one who takes to devotional service, it is most important. Transcendental life begins when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, clearly states here that this process of knowledge is the actual path. Anything speculated beyond this is nonsense. That's what Srila Prabhupada says. Uh, so one should approach a spiritual master how? With all humility. And what should one do? Offer him all services. Why? So that he'll be pleased. And when he is pleased, what he does? To bestow his blessings upon the disciple. What happens when spiritual master bestows his blessings? That will make the disciple immediately advanced. without the disciples following the regulative principles. Doesn't mean that when we get initiation, when we get blessings, we don't need to follow the regulative principles, but immediately there is such an advancement in the disciples bhakti that the sadhana stage is almost there are two stages of bhakti, sadhana bhakti and raganuga bhakti. Sadhana bhakti is bhakti under practice. We are practicing bhakti, we are following regulative principles with a goal to make it spontaneous. That means kripa siddha, by the blessings of the spiritual master, a person can be situated in the raganuga bhakti even though he has not practiced the sadhana bhakti. Or he says, if that's not the case, or restating it, the regulative principles will be easier for one who has served the spiritual master without reservation. In vice versa is also true. If we don't serve the spiritual master, we don't have the power to follow the regulative principles because Maya is so huge. We are so tiny and we don't have the strength to fight Maya on our own. We are nothing. We are like a tiny pebble on the shore of the ocean of Maya. One wave, we will again go back. So Prabhupada also said that once, he said that I will never fall into Maya. That's what he said to one disciple. Then he was praying to the Lord, and after praying, he came out and he said that somebody asked him, "What were you praying to the deity Srila Prabhupada?" Then he said that I was praying that, "Oh my Lord, please let me not fall into Maya, and please let me always remain in service in your lotus feet." So this disciple, but Srila Prabhupada, you said that you will not fall into Maya. Then Srila Prabhupada said, this is why I said, because I'm constantly praying that let me not fall into Maya. So, and once more he said that a big problem among some of the disciples of mine is that they don't have enough fear of Maya. So it's not a small thing. So if this is what an acharya is teaching by his example. So without the spiritual master's blessings and without being connected to the whole of Guru Parampara, we would be lost in the ocean of Maya. So it is he, the spiritual master's blessings, on the strength of which we are able to do any devotional service or follow any regulative principles. So what it means to serve the spiritual master without reservation, that like what Srila Prabhupada did. He did not. He had 100 things, that's valid reasons for not following the instructions of the spiritual master. At the age of 70, he needn't have come here and alone with no money and with a frail health, with no support from the family or any institution, being vulnerable. Um, he but still he served the spiritual master without reservation, means whether can I do it or not, no thinking about that, let me do it come what may. So that was the mood in which he served the spiritual master. Yeah, we saw this. Yeah, we know that the Bhagavad-Gita starts with the spiritual master. This is the second chapter, 7th, the famous verse where, anybody wants to read this verse? Where is Bala Vrinda?
शिष्यसेहां शान्तिमां प्रपन्नम्.
Very good. Balavrinda, I know you know it. You see?
Balavranda, Shanti, Shanti.
So good. Yeah.
Shanti means peace, Vrinda. Good.
Shanti means Shanti you asked, right? So I'm telling you Shanti, Shanti down.
Okay. So, in this verse, Arjuna is telling that now I'm confused about my duty and I've lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now, I'm your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So far he was talking friendly relationship, but now he says that, I am surrendered to you, and now I am your disciple, and your soul surrendered to you. And tell me for certain what is best for me, because I am not in a position to decide what is best for me. So you see, here, the Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain in material perplexities but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse. So after this, the actual Bhagavad Gita started. Krishna started telling to Arjuna, because a spiritual master considers the disciple like his own self. He is already selfless, and you can see that he's the one, he's always forgiving. Like our father or mother, the children, whatever they do, ultimately, if you ask your parents, if the parents of the child, even the worst behaved child, uh, that will not come up in their heart. They will say that my son is good, because of the presence of so much um, forgiveness, because of identifying, the parent identifies the child has themselves. So just like how much ever mistake we make, we are first ready to forgive ourselves. So we forgive our children. And then spiritual master, the disciple is like a spiritual children, not only in this life, connected for life after life. So the spiritual master is so forgiving, like a parent, and will do all, is always a well wisher. Like a parent is never does something that is bad for the child. So the spiritual master always does something that is ultimately good for the disciple. So there are so many examples about this. Maybe we'll come back to that if there is time. Yeah. Now in 2.41 in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. So the relationship is personal. So the spiritual master also should accept the student and should know the nature of the student in person, and so he can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. So we cannot connect ourselves to say Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur or Bhakti Vinod Thakur or Srila Prabhupada. How do we know that Prabhupada has accepted us if he is not present? So it is a dynamic, living relationship. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows: Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadanna gati kutopi Dhyayanstuvam tasya yashastri sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanaravindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day and offer my respectful obeisances unto him, my spiritual master. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. From by whose satisfaction Krishna is satisfied. Yasya aprasadan. It's also the same, but there is a here. You see, it's yasya, it's yasya. And the meaning completely is different. This is satisfaction of the spiritual master, yasya prasada. This is yasya prasadan is dissatisfaction of the spiritual master. So we shouldn't sing Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado, Yasya Prasadat Nagati Kutopi, which means we are telling that by spiritual master's satisfaction, uh, we get lost. Na Gati Kutopi. There is no destination, never. So that's what it's telling. There's no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. Such is the position of a bona fide spiritual master and the importance of a spiritual master in our life. Again, this famous verse 4.34. Anybody else wants to read?
Can Prahlad read?
Okay.
Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam janasi tattva
Jnaninas.
jnaninastattvadarshina.
Okay, thank you. So just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. This is Krishna's direct instruction. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So, after explaining the almost towards the end of the fourth chapter, which is transcendental knowledge, Krishna didn't say to Arjuna, Arjuna, I have given you this knowledge. And of course, he is in the position of a guru there. And so he is able to give this knowledge. But he says, this is how one should accept this knowledge. We cannot get spiritual knowledge by just opening the book and reading the Shastras or Bhagavad-Gita on our own, because this knowledge is not theoretical. That's the point. How I can read humility, pridelessness, non-violence, this, but everything is knowledge. I mean, this is something that we need to practice, and for to need to practice, we need the mercy of someone who's practicing and someone who's ready to guide us, to take us, to take responsibility for us and guide us and take us with him in this path. So, how to please him? By two things. That is, we need to inquire from him submissively. This is very important because inquiry shows that we are trying to learn. Because this is not a process that's going to be finished in a few years, or I mean, if we are not serious, it could take so many lifetimes. So we have to keep on inquiring more and more and more, and render service to him, not just ask um, questions, but also render service. So these two things, that's what is explained in the purport. For want of time, we are skipping. And yeah, you see, um, satisfaction of the self-realized spiritual master is the secret of advancement in spiritual life. And also, he says that spiritual master is not the one who is going to pat our ego and say, oh, you're a very nice devotee. He's going to give us tests. So one must be able to pass the test of the spiritual master And when he sees the genuine desire of the disciple, he automatically blesses the disciple with genuine spiritual understanding. In this verse, both blind following and absurd inquiries are condemned. Not only should one hear submissively from the spiritual master, but one must also get a clear understanding from him in submission and service and inquiries. All the three together will give us understanding. A bona fide spiritual master is by nature very kind toward the disciple. Therefore, when the student is submissive and is always ready to render service, the reciprocation of knowledge and inquiries become perfect. So, what happens after we attain such knowledge? Having obtained real knowledge from a self realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. Everything and everything, Isha Vashyam Idam Sarvam, Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat, everything belongs to the Lord. Everybody is a part and parcel of the Lord. So this knowledge we will develop. That's what he says. We will never again fall into the illusion of separate vision. This is Lord and this is mine. No, everything belongs to the Lord. And how to, in 17.2, this is also a very pertinent point and very nice point. The association of the living entity with the different modes of nature has been going on perpetually. Since the living entity is in contact with material nature, he acquires different types of mentality according to his association with the material modes. This is very true, right? We are all born with different type of mentality. We live with different type of mentality. We work with that. But this nature can be changed if one associates with a bona fide spiritual master and abides by his rules and the scriptures. Gradually, one can change his position from ignorance to goodness or from passion to goodness. The conclusion is that blind faith in a particular mode of nature cannot help a person become elevated to the perfectional stage. One has to consider things carefully with intelligence in the association of a bona fide spiritual master. Thus, one can change his position to a higher mode of nature. So, what is meant by association of bona fide spiritual master? In effect, it is following the instructions of the spiritual master. So many of us, like Srila Prabhupada, hardly saw Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur a few times. And the time that he spent with him together is very less. But the time that he thought about his instructions, followed his instructions, gave his life for that instructions, and served him without reservation, that was his whole life. And his whole life is glorious because of that. So that's why by such association, what does that association means? Abide by his rules. What the rules we promised during initiation, and the scriptures also. So we read the scriptures. We associate with the spiritual master because we are giving a promise to the spiritual master. So we will try our best to follow that, and then when we try our best, then the spiritual master's blessings makes a meaning to it. Just like we see the two finger shot in Damodar, one is our endeavor, another is Krishna's mercy. Ye yatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. How much we are, that much he reciprocates. And here, so in this way, we can see that how Srila Prabhupada, by his association, by his instructions, guiding his disciples, how they were and how they are now. I mean, if we see them 60, 70 years old, and then you see a normal person who's 60, 70 years old, who's Srila Prabhupada, who's, not into spiritual things, what a gulf of difference. So we can appreciate Srila Prabhupada's association from where he, he has, he has fanned the spark and turned a so-called coal into a diamond by his constant association. Okay, in 18.75, we see that that is the end of towards the end of the Bhagavad Gita, three shlokas before the end. where Sanjay is telling, because of Vyasadev's mercy, I was able to see things, because Vyasadev offered to give that vision to Dhritarashtra, but Dhritarashtra said, I cannot take it, so please give it to Sanjaya. So Sanjaya sitting in the place of Dhritarashtra. So he related what happened in the battlefield to Dhritarashtra. You see, so the whole Bhagavad Gita is one point. Arjuna accepted Krishna as a spiritual master, and his whole thing changed. And because of the mercy of Vyasadev, his spiritual master, Sanjaya was able to relate this. Basically, Sanjaya is relating the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. So this is also a very beautiful purport where he says that, you see, the spiritual master is a transparent medium. Although it is true that the experience is still direct, so Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a transparent glass. My eyes are defective, I cannot see. The glass clears the defect, but it is not opaque. It's not changing what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing, the experience is still direct. So that's why he's called the transparent via medium, and this is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is a master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in the Bhagavad Gita: surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham. So, and then he again says about Vyasa Puja. See, the spiritual master is the representative of Vyasa Dev also, because here you see Sanjay, spiritual master, is Vyasadev. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, because we are all personalists, we celebrate the Vyasa Puja on the specific birthday of the spiritual master. That is, in the impersonalist Sampradaya, they do it in one day, Guru Purnima. All the gurus are celebrated there. But we do it on the birthday of the spiritual master. The disciples conduct a ceremony called Vyasa Puja. The main reason it's called Vyasa Puja because the spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadev and the Guru Parampara, and finally the puja that we offer reaches to Vyasadev and all the Parampara. Okay, so the last, I think, some more. Okay, two more. Let's finish it. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, the rescuer must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Very clearly, he is saying in the purport, Daiviyesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. There he says about how Mamevaye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. My divine material nature is very hard, Mama Maya Duratyaya, very hard, very difficult to overcome. But if you surrender to me, Mamevaye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. Otherwise, there is no chance of overcoming this Maya. So, yeah, 18. There are so many references, but we could only pick this much due to lack of time. But there are so many wonderful purposes about different aspects of spiritual master and its function in our life, and the disciples' relationship with the spiritual master. So 18.59 purport: the Supreme Personality gives directions as to what is good and what is bad, and one simply has to act in Krishna consciousness to attain the perfection of life. No one can ascertain his destiny as the Supreme Lord can. Therefore, the best course is to take direction from the Supreme Lord and act. No one should neglect the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or the order of the spiritual master, who is the representative of God. One should act unhesitatingly to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That will keep one safe under all circumstances. So, unhesitatingly execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unhesitatingly execute the order of the spiritual master. Okay, so we'll pause here. Thank you all, devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If anyone has any questions or comments, additions, corrections, please, we can go ahead now.
Thank you, Mataji. Very, very nice, very interesting presentation. I really liked. I didn't know that that concept of Vyasa Puja and Guru Purnima. You explained that very well. Why ours was different. Thank you for that. Very, very nice class, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Your pictures that you put speaks 1,000 words. So I should really thank you for that, for bringing life into the presentation.
Anyone has any questions for Mataji? Please go ahead. Lakshmi Mataji, you want to ask? Oh, Prabhu wants to ask something.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji,
you so
Dandat Pranam.
Danvat Pranam Mataji. Thank you so much for this class. Mataji, like you mentioned, like we need to understand Bhagavad Gita through a bona fide spiritual master.
Uh-huh.
But we do a lot of book distribution, Mataji. Like, so what is how can we understand that? What is the idea behind that? Not everybody will be able to master and get the knowledge.
Okay, yeah, that's a nice question, Prabhuji. But yeah, so when they read the book, ultimately they will, this is what is mentioned from the beginning to the end, that if you want to learn about this knowledge, you need to accept a spiritual master. So books are distributed so that, there is something, there is knowledge is given to them, because if this knowledge is only not there, then we will not know who is a real guru, why to accept a guru, who am I, what am I into, because of the ignorance present in this department of knowledge. That's the reason for so many bogus gurus or incomplete realizations, so many things, because of this. So in order to uh, educate the people what is real knowledge, that's why we distribute books, and when they read these books, then it will make sense that they have to follow them, but they need someone who, the spiritual master, who is an example to follow them. Then they will search out for the association of devotees, and then slowly, by practicing in the association of devotees, they will come to the point of surrendering and making to the spiritual master, making a commitment to be serious in spiritual life. So they will slowly come to that level, Prabhuji. So that's my understanding.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Also, the last point, only the person who is not bound by the ropes, they can only unbound the other person.
Mhm.
Very nice, Mataji. Very nice picture explains that. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right. Yeah, very nice picture. Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Preeti Vilasni Mataji, in 10 minutes she will do such a wonderful presentation.
Mataji,
So many pictures.
it's all
Yeah.
such luck, Mataji. Nothing to
No,
do.
no, it's not that, Mataji. You are.
Mataji, like, is it possible to share these presentations if individuals are interested?
Yes. Why not? It's for anybody who's interested.
Yeah, actually, these like what all the presentations are the summary, Mataji. Like other persons don't have to go through the entire book to get the summary. These presentations will give the summary very quickly.
Right. And also you can use them, and you can do some reading, and you can use them to present to other people. So
Yes,
that's the
Mataji.
main thing. Yeah, the
Right.
Bhagavad Gita should be spread as widely as possible.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Yeah. Mataji, yeah, we are actually there is so much effort that is being put to spread the good thing, but the bad thing is spreading. I don't know how to say. The evil spreads very faster than the good. So how can we counteract that? Sorry, I'm asking a relevant question, but
No. This is a very relevant question because that's the nature of Kali Yuga, Prabhuji. We are all Kali Yuga born people. We are not any saints. So, so the very reason that we are Kali, the nature of Kali is that Kali is 100% vice and irreligion, and that's what spreads fast. So many times, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj would say that, Guru Maharaj would say that, our fight is not against Maya, our fight is against Kali. That is the age. So, if Kali is spreading evil things fast, then we should try to spread good things even faster. So that's why Srila Prabhupada asked more and more book distribution, more and more giving this knowledge to others. And, we are in a race with Kali. Every day lost is a day lost. We will never get it back. So, we can pray to Krishna to engage us as maximum as possible in his service through chanting, through reading, through sharing this knowledge with others. So, because it's like we are chased by a evil monster, we will take it seriously. And if we are chased and our life is in danger, then we will run up to our maximum capacity. So similarly, Kali Yuga is like that. So we should be on a constantly vigil and constantly, putting our efforts in our improving our devotional service to the Lord. That way, then if more and more and more people are like that, then a day will come when Kali is taking a back seat, and that will come. That's the prediction of the acharyas. This 10,000 years of golden age will be like Satya Yuga. So soon, 5,000, only 500 years have started. So till the next 5,000 years, it will be ascending. And the second 5,000 years will be descending. So this 10,000 years within the Kali Yuga will be like a Satya Yuga. So that's the thing, Prabhuji. By glorifying the Lord, only Kali can be destroyed. Kali Kalmashanashanam. By chanting the holy names of the Lord.
thank you, Mata.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah, nice class, Mataji. Like after attending the concept-wise class, after you're giving explanation to each and every word, I used to think that we don't even know the meaning of the word till now.
Yeah.
Only then we get the real lessons. So here, Mataji, the simplicity what you said was, normally people say, I'm very simple. They used to say, but if you see, their dressing will be simple.
Right.
Yeah, you see, their dressing will be very simple, and they say, I like a simple dressing. So the simplicity means they stick to their dressing. Sometimes they say the living style, like I'm a minimalist, I use only little things, like some terms. But everything relates to the material things, what they're putting into. But only now when you see simplicity, Prabhupada's purport and your explanation, it is going far beyond material. It's not even material, actually, to be simple. When simplicity is said, we cannot even think about material.
Right.
So Mataji, you said simplicity, you said it is an austerity of body. But it comes under mind, right? To be simple, or you said you have to train the mind.
Yeah.
Then how does it come into the austerity of a body?
So there he says simplicity in behavior. So behavior is again mind, but behavior is also a physical thing that you express through your body, how you behave. So you see, yeah, he should not do. One should practice, and he should learn to become simple in behavior. Of course, what is the mind, that's what has come out, but still this simplicity is so important that it comes as an austerity of the body and as well as austerity of the mind. So if you take the austerity of the mind, saumyatvam is translated as simplicity. That's why, I mean, the word by word translation, why Srila Prabhupada took so much effort to put the word by word translate, word by word synonyms. He could have given the shloka and given the translation. No, that's why, it's important for us to read the word by word translation. And if we read the word by word, then we understand so many things. Many things in the translation and the purport becomes clear. And also we can, when we recite the shloka, we know the meaning of the shloka, and we can say it with understanding the meaning. So what were I saying? Yeah, let me go to that verse 17.16. So 17.16, Saumyatvam, being without duplicity towards others. Basically, in word by word meaning, let me stop share and open the database. First, you have to open database, or then only you can go to get it. Okay, okay. Which one shall I open here? And then you share. So 17.16. Is are you able to see my screen?
No, Mata.
No, Mataji.
No.
Now?
Yes,
Okay.
Mataji.
So you see, mana prasada saumyatvam. Saumyatvam here is being without duplicity towards others. And that Srila Prabhupada translates in the translation, it becomes satisfaction. Mana prasada is satisfaction of the mind. Saumyatvam is being without duplicity towards others. That is simplicity. And that's exactly the same thing that he tells in the purports also. And it is not easy, Mataji. We always have some duplicity towards others. I mean, if only we could see our mind, observe our mind. That's what Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, that paradukke suke. Saints are people who are paradukka dukhi, but materialistic people, other than saints, we are paradukka sukhi. When somebody is in dukkha, distress, the mind becomes happy. So that shouldn't be there. So that's why it is called being without duplicity towards others, and that's the same thing that he explains in the purport. So when it comes to austerity of the body, it's being simple in behavior. Here it is mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Especially, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement is about cooperation and Sankirtan. So there are some troublemakers. I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu doesn't, give his mercy to Kapata. And who's telling he is Kapata? Today we heard Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is telling himself as Kapata or duplicitous. But yeah, so people who, I mean, if we are kind of gossiping, and we know that two people don't get along well each other, then we try to fish in the muddled waters. So all those things are hindrance for bhakti. all those things are not straightforward behavior. Yeah, is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Mataji, because here it says it's also the austerity of the mind. So comes both body, as you said. So first it is the austerity of the mind. Then in the regarding to body, it comes as a behavior, the way we act with others.
Right, right.
And Mataji, you said sometimes the behavior it should not be complex. So complex means you mentioned like duplicity and
Yeah,
like something we say which is all are bad characters or which is not good. So we take them as complex, or something in good also there is some quality which is very complex. Because I'm trying to understand, do we have it? Because only now I'm understanding that simplicity means itself it is to be very simple in behavior, not by external but internal. So,
mm,
so what are the complex behaviors that you can tell, Mataji, even which is not negative? Sometimes you can see it in positive side also, but it will be complex. We don't know that it is complex behavior.
yeah. So he's, I mean, being not a well wisher of others, that's a complex behavior, because first thing of the saint is mm, forgiveness. Even if somebody has done something that is putting us into difficulty, also, we see beyond that, and we don't have any grudge or any ill feeling towards that person. So these things, has to be cultivated. So we might justify that, I didn't do anything to that person, but that person has done bad to me, so I have a, ill feeling towards him. That's not wrong, because you are not doing anything bad to others, but that's also a complex behavior, because Krishna is sitting in the heart and he is watching. So the whole process is cheto darpana marjanam. For sure, our cheta, the darpana of our chitta is fully filled with dust. No doubt about this. Otherwise, then what is the need to, cleanse it? So there are so many things that we can think about. Maybe, we can all take this as an application exercise for this week, and we can note down some of the complex behaviors during this week, what we experience, and we can, share it the next week.
Yes, yes, Mataji, you can try it because I have never given a try. But like self-analysis, it will be a nice exercise to do to,
Right.
to analyze. So in the same line of question, Mataji, you said Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said we have to identify the weed and remove it because the water will go to the weed
Mm.
and the weed will grow, so the bhakti plant will not grow. Now to identify the weed also, we basically know some good qualities, some bad qualities. So, but even if I'm not outside, I'm not showing anything bad to others. I pretend or be good. But how do we know that there is nothing inside? Like you said, right? There are some complex behaviors. So, how do we identify it? Uh,
Yes. So it's hard. It's not easy, because we have a custom made mirror, that when we introspect, the mirror will always show our good qualities. That's the, custom made subtle mirror that we are used to. So first of all, the mirror should show what our bad thing, and then we should be able to accept it. So it's not a overnight process. This is education. This is real education. This is cultivation of real knowledge. So by constantly being in touch with scriptures, and constantly analyzing the practical things, or seeing the practical things through the eyes of the scriptures, uh, we can, identify more and more problems what we have, and then with the help of the Lord, surrendering to the Lord, with the mercy of the Lord, uh, we can remove them. I mean, the Lord can remove them. Only that, once one layer is removed, then the next layer will come up. So this process of purification continues, Mataji, till the last goal that we attain.
okay. Okay, Mataji. So yeah, so we are in the process right now. So
Right.
it's never ending. It has to be taken every day. Like we should not stop it. It's a never ending process.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And so those are the things about simplicity. And Mataji, while talking about, you said Prabhupada used to say that his devotees, they are not scared of Maya.
Mm.
So like I don't know whether we are serious about Maya or whether I am serious about Maya. I don't know whether I am scared of Maya or not. So so when we say we are scared of something, only the depth of the effect we know that this is going to affect it this much, or the degree of the effect only will give us this fear on it.
Mm.
So but in this Kali Yuga, we are not very much, we say that it's all Maya, but I don't know whether everybody are fearful of it. And myself, I don't know whether I am that much fearful about it. So why is it lacking, Mataji? That are we not enough knowledge about
Yeah.
Maya? That yeah. So what is that we have to know about it, Mataji, to get
See,
that real intensity?
yeah, Krishna himself says, when Krishna, the Lord, says that Mama Maya Duratyaya, because Lord is absolute, right? Anything that comes out of his mouth is absolute truth. So he says, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Let's go there. So by uh, by being in touch with scriptures, by reading about the scriptures, then we know that being scared of Maya means, oh, I'm sure I'm going to be drowned by Maya. So Krishna, please, I'm always like, I'm sheltered on you. I'm surrendered to you. Without your mercy, I'll be completely drowned. So Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mamevaye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, Daivi Hesha is divine, Hesha is this, Gunamayi, consisting of the three modes of material nature, Mama Maya, my energy, Duratyaya, very difficult to overcome. First sentence he says very difficult to overcome, but he gives a only way. But mamevaye prapadyante, mam unto me, eva certainly, those who prapadyante surrender, mayam etam, this illusory energy, taranti te, they can overcome. So that is, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. You see, which is very difficult, becomes very easy, can easy only by surrendering unto the Lord. Otherwise, it's very difficult. And surrendering is not a one time, one minute, one time process. So it's a constant process. So in this way, by reading about ourselves, by reading about Maya, by reading about the Supreme Lord, then we can develop that fear of Maya.
Mataji, I had a few thoughts. Can I share if it's okay with
Please,
you, Mataji?
please share, Mother.
Yeah, I mean, that was such a beautiful discussion. And so I also got thinking, Mataji, and that's why I just thought if I can share with all your permission. First thing is like Srila Prabhupada makes it very clear. Mataji had this question about duplicity and simplicity. So duplicity arises when we are one leg in sense gratification and one leg in Krishna consciousness. So that is what is duplicity. And simplicity is when you're steadfast in Krishna consciousness, and everything you do for Krishna, and you don't have this material sense gratification. Like in the previous purport Mataji had displayed, I think 1614 or something like that. Prabhupada started off with saying sense gratification, like, so when we are trying to gratify our senses, and then we say we also want to be Krishna conscious, we make
Huh.
things complicated for ourselves. So it could be anything as simple as, like trying to even make some dish we like, and then say I'll offer to Krishna and eat. So I mean, in our heart, in the recesses of our heart, we know that this is actually trying to gratify our own senses. But then we also offer to Krishna, we kind of complicate the whole scenario, where we should actually be doing something what Krishna likes. But we tend to do these simple things in our daily lives which kind of complicate the situation. So Srila Prabhupada, another way of looking at simplicity is Srila Prabhupada was always in public eye, and he was who he was because he was a pure devotee, and so he never had to put up an act in front of anybody. So many times I find myself exhibiting a different behavior in temple and with devotees, and but at home I'm a different person. So I have a duplicitous nature that way because I still have some material hankerings, and so that comes out when I'm in alone, in the comforts of my home, but it may not be displayed outside when I'm in the temple. So that is one more example of duplicity, like when we have these material aspirations, and but then but then we also want to be Krishna conscious, and it's a constant struggle because we're trying to reach that platform, like Mataji said repeatedly, that it's a constant process. And we need to get rid of even the smallest sense gratificatory tendencies we have. So that was one thing I wanted to share. And Mataji, what was the other verse you were just discussing now, Mataji?
Daivihesha Gunamayi. Oh, that was very beautiful, Mataji. Thank you so much for
Oh.
sharing that. That's so nice.
Oh no, I was just reflecting on what all you were saying, so it just got me thinking. So whatever you explain, I think maybe I'm just putting it in different words. I think
No, no, this
that's
is
all.
your realization, and it's so good. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
And
Yeah, this was
about
the
this
words we were
verse,
discussing. Daivihesha Gunamayi.
yeah, Mataji was asking why am I not intimidated by Maya? So,
Mm.
yes, we do get complacent in our devotional services, by the strength of chanting and, all that good that comes with it. We can get complacent in devotional service. And that is why, Mataji, I would like to think that reading and doing services on our own is great. I'm not saying at the comforts of your home, but then devotee association is equally important because the lessons, the hardest, toughest lessons of our life, we learn from devotees. Maybe we get chastised from some devotee. Maybe we're doing some service in the temple and a senior devotee chastises us. And those are the actual, like they say, the polishing of a diamond, which really happens as in the association of devotees, because we could be doing things on a routine basis. And also I think Bhakti Vinod Thakur also says that a devotee should not be too good at everything, because then the complacency sets in, because the pride also creeps in. So a devotee must always have this constant struggle in one sense, to try to better him or herself. And that actually happens in the association of devotees. And many times we see, for no reason, sometimes in the temple, I've experienced personally that I get chastised. I'm like, why did this even happen? I didn't do anything like that. But Krishna is trying to up your act, like he's trying to take you a little step higher. And all these messages come from devotees, because he uses the devotees as his instruments to make us advance. That is my that's how I look, and I've heard from Maharajas too. So yeah, if we get too complacent, maybe we should go and try to serve a devotee
Right, right.
we are not
After the,
in favor of, and then the complacency will go away. We'll have to beg Krishna for mercy. So yeah,
wonderful.
these were some of the thoughts that came to my mind, Mataji. I'm sorry if it's not
No,
related
no, please, please.
matter.
It is very much related, and it's very much practical and so nice, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are waiting for COVID to be over so we can again. That's very true. Like working with someone, under someone, doing service, and then Krishna arranges a thing, then we get thinking, and so good, Mataji. That's a thing of purification.
Once,
Thank you.
once I asked one senior devotee, Mataji, like, those days they're doing the tapasya, this and that, and, like so much, they stand up on one foot for, so many years. They go without food, water, air, and all kinds of things. So then they said that, try surviving, in the association of devotees without committing aparadh. That is the biggest austerity you can do in Kali Yuga,
Right.
like. So because the tendencies are so strong in Kali Yuga, so I mean, then I was like, oh yeah, I mean, that's really a big austerity, to
Right.
to maintain our devotee relationships and to not harbor any ill will against anybody.
Very true, Mataji. Thank you so much. Very, very
Thank you,
valuable
Mataji. I
comments.
mean,
I
it's like
cherish your
I'm just
association.
like, basking in your glory because
Oh,
you
no, no.
speak so nicely, just rubbing off of your glory, Mataji. So.
Oh, then what should I speak about your CC class? Hari bol. That's wonderful, Mataji.
That
I'm
credit
rubbing
goes
off.
to Preeti Vilasni. She makes the notes and spoon feeds me, so I just whatever she gives, I take.
Yeah, the same thing she does here, Mataji. So, yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, blatant lies, Mataji, both of you.
Yeah. Okay, is that okay, Lakshmi Mataji? That was a beautiful realization and sharing.
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Shakshagri Mataji. So Mataji was telling, so finally I got, when we are put into a situation, our all the complex behaviors will come out, which
Come
have
on.
been hidden away, which have been hidden, and we show the simplicity. But when we are put into a situation, that will slowly come out.
Right, right. Yeah.
Yeah, so wonderful, wonderful relaxations, and it helped me a lot. The duplicity and simplicity differences, which Mataji said,
Mm.
and also the Maya also was very nice.
Mataji, sorry to interrupt. Just one thought, like so from the day one, like I came from nowhere and full of sense gratification. I live with full of sense gratification, and all of a sudden I cannot leave everything, and I cannot do so. I don't know. We have to start. Mataji said, like, yeah, we prepare some food for our sake. We know in the inner heart for ourselves, but we give it to Krishna. But is it not a good practice? Okay, I know it is for me, but the day has to start, like give offering it to Krishna, and when we start the process one day, with pure heart, we will offer everything to Krishna. So what do we say about that, Mataji? Like
Yeah,
I
Suksagri
totally
Mataji.
agree. What Mataji said, I totally agree. We add a lot of complexity, but from the day one itself, we cannot leave everything.
Right, right. Mataji, would you like to share some thoughts?
Yes, Prabhu, you're very right. You actually snatched my thoughts and my ideas. Like, yes, Prabhuji, it's a constant struggle. Like Mataji said, we have to start somewhere, and like you rightly said, we have to start somewhere and keep working on it. Over and over again, over and over, and slowly hope that we make some progress and not stick to those.
Mm.
Maybe finally, by the mercy of Guru and Gauranga and devotees, we will reach that platform where we are actually cooking for the lordships, and we get those, the Paramatma conveys in our heart, what he wants to eat. I mean, devotees do reach that stage. I don't know.
Right.
Mine personally, I'm nowhere near that, but I've heard the devotees do that, and so there is hope, Prabhu. I'm hoping someday. Yeah, Prabhu.
Right. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. So very nice conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji, and thank you, Mataji. Such a nice class, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji, for beautiful class and a nice discussion. Actually, it helps us a lot.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Lakshmi Mataji, is it okay? We
Yes,
can.
Mataji. I learned a
Yeah.
lot from our QA section.
Yeah, same
So-
here, Mataji. We also, I mean, we wait for your questions so that, we can learn a lot. Whatever we missed also, by your questions, we are able to dig deep and learn more. So thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. So when it is an interaction, we learn more from different Matajis and Prabhujis when they all involve. We are it's a interaction makes it more knowledgeable and more intellectual. So
Right.
thank you all the Prabhujis and Matajis. Thank you, Mataji. Jai Sachinandana. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Can I do Vanchakalpa?
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji, it's already
We can
10
end the
for
call.
us. Yeah.
Yeah. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila
Jai
Prabhupada ki jai, Her Grace Lalitangi Mataji ki jai. Thank you,
Gaura
Mataji.
Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Thank you,